Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of GTA Online Hot Takes, the show where we take your hottest takes and then give my opinions on them. Let's get right into it. Instead of removing cars from the game, Rockstar should have removed weapons since many of them are considered obsolete and you can't buy the same gun multiple times. I think there's definitely a lot of weapons in the game that don't really have much of a purpose. Like we have 17 pistols, 24 SMGs, like the list kind of goes on and on and on. I'd be inclined to agree that there's definitely plenty of weapons in the game that are obsolete, but I wouldn't really go as far as to say that Rockstar should simply remove them, especially considering that the gun locker exists. And really removing even more stuff after removing 200 different vehicles in the game? Bad idea. I don't think it's gonna go down very well. Also, not really being able to buy the gun multiple times. Why would you want to have multiple copies of the gun anyways? You're gonna use it once. You're gonna have like 5 different cars. The only reason why you have 5 of the same cars is because you're trying to do a duplication glitch. I know what you're up to. A lot of missions in GTA Online are rather stale, using very similar design concepts of go here, kill some people, drive across the map, kill someone, and let's not forget steal X from X location. There needs to be far more variety in how missions are designed, so they can't just be boiled down to these basics. I think you just figured out the past 25 years of GTA mission design, or just Rockstar in general. There's a lot to be said about these missions, and I'd be inclined to agree. I think the main thing and my main gripe with mission design in GTA Online generally boils down to: here's a slow vehicle. You can now drive 5 miles where there's about 3 people constantly shooting you with a pistol or an SMG. Typically it's a pistol, but yeah, it's very uninteresting. I think that in a game like GTA, there's definitely still room to be doing it, but I think in single player, you have a lot more options to make things more interesting because you don't really have to worry about, I guess, online connectivity and stuff. I think making stuff more cinematic could already go a long way. Like right now in GTA Online, most of these missions are indeed go here, do that, because they don't really tend to make these missions all the cinematic like you have in single player. But I would say that there would be something that could improve upon in the next GTA title, you know, in online. I think most of the time when it comes to missions though, I don't necessarily think it's only about what you're doing in the mission, more so like what is happening in the mission, right? Typically for me, what makes a good mission is you go to a certain location, but something interesting is happening, or like it's type of dialogue, or there's a good reason why you're doing it. You're advancing towards the next thing. Because if you're gonna boil it down to these basics, I think that's gonna be for every single game then, because like let's say Call of Duty, you go from point A to point B and in between you kill a bunch of people. It's all about the setting and why you're doing a thing and how it is happening rather than the what it is you're doing. But I do agree that there definitely needs to be some more variety, but I think in the right direction rather than in a tedious way that some of the missions that we later have gotten. The career challenges are a cool addition, but long-time players, 5+ years, shouldn't have to unlock these single-player outfits and should get them for free. No, that defeats the whole purpose. Like, people that have been playing for a long time already have the massive advantage of owning the businesses, having $50 million in gun running or whatever, etc, etc. The list goes on. You already have a major advantage being a long-term player and having lesser of a grind, especially if you've been going for awards and stuff like that. And then just to be like, hey, you've been playing for 5+ years, here's some free stuff. I don't think that it really works that way. Like, I don't agree with that at all. I feel that for long-term players especially, these changes are nice because it gives them a new thing to go for and a new thing to work towards, myself included. I've been playing since day one, and career challenges really have given me a reason to revisit old content. And if there's something that you're not interested in, then you're just not interested in it. That kind of is what it comes down to, honestly. I get it. You want to unlock the single-player outfits, but I feel that some stuff should really just be behind a, I guess, time gate or like play gates, if that's even a thing. That I don't know if it's a term, but yeah, some stuff you can just buy straight up and just get for free, but some stuff should really just be you got to do something for it. Because I think that in general, that's what GTA Online was lacking up until the career challenges. Because the weekly event things were like, hey, go make $10,000 in crates. Military vehicles such as jets and tanks shouldn't be personal vehicles, but should spawn at the military base and make the aircraft carrier a permanent addition to the game, making it a challenge to get these vehicles would limit the amount of griefers who have easy access to them. While I like the idea of eliminating them to easily spawn them next to you and eliminating them being personal vehicles to try to, reduce the griefing, I would say that it would also just kind of shift the griefing from being everywhere around the map to everyone being in a military base so they can prevent other people from getting it. Because instead of spreading people out and having them get their personal vehicles by having to spawn near them, instead you're just gonna have everyone just camping the military base and killing them there. You're gonna have snipers on the hills, jets flying through the air trying to prevent others from getting them. That's pretty much what's going to happen there. So while I like the idea, I think there's better solutions to the griefing problem, really. The Young Ancestor Casino Heist has to be the most fun and hardest approach, especially if you want to try to do it undetected. The setup, mission, dialogue, and cutscenes make it worth it, and the reward, outfits, and car are unique. That's one of the things that Casino Heist doesn't get enough praise for, I feel. Even though the approaches, when it comes to doing the big con approach, is still relatively similar, but the vibe of it all always is very different, which I always personally really appreciate. I have to say that the cutscene, obviously, with Brucey and Young Ancestor when it goes on in the office, obviously is naturally some really well done dialogue and also very interesting. But generally speaking, I don't think many people actually know that this approach even exists, because everyone either does Bug Stars or the Group Sex one. Generally speaking, the randoms seem to be doing the Bug Stars one because they don't know about the Group X one, which is generally irritating. Very, very irritating to pay. Earning the question mark alien tattoo is quite fun and rewarding, even with the extreme requirements. For those that don't know, you basically need to get 600 resupplies in your bunker and then also get some kind of specific time at 3 AM on top of Mount Chiliad while it's raining. It's a whole thing. It's very grueling. It takes a long time, but you do get one of the most exclusive things within the game. So, the Lego Gamer here though does say that he wishes there was more things like that and all the other secrets, if you will, like the Epsilon ropes and whatnot. I would say though that I'm inclined to agree that having unique stuff like that does take a while to get and is a little bit more harder to acquire is always something that's kind of healthy for the game, because some people actually just want to have something to chase. That's why I personally really like the career challenges, because it's something that you can actually chase after, and it's kind of more like a long-term goal rather than let me just go do Kuiper Rico again for $1 million. Much more interesting to me than money at this point, at least in my opinion. If you diversify your gameplay, the grind for money is not as boring as some people say it is. The main reason why I included this one is because I just wanted to give a public service announcement. If you play nothing but Kuiper Rico and just do nothing but grind passive businesses, the game will get boring after a week. At this point, there are so many different ways how you can make money, both passively and actively, which I actually realized when I made the beginner's guide. It's like, wow, there's actually a lot of ways to make some very decent money in this game. So at this point, doesn't really matter what you do in the game to make money. If you're a newer player, it probably does, because you're trying to save out for a bunch of things. But if you're a longer term player that's been grinding the game for a while and is only caring about money goes up at this point, I get it, you're trying to reach certain goals and stuff, but even the best content in the game that everyone enjoys the most is gonna get boring eventually if you've done it a billion times. That's just inevitable. Some people are better with repetition than others, but if you're asking me, at some point, I kinda get it, really. The Oppressor Mk II would have been balanced when it was released if you had to unlock the other weapons by doing terabyte missions like you have to do for the trade price, instead of getting everything right away. Funny enough, actually, I was on stream and I read this comment, so it wouldn't have fixed anything, though. It genuinely wouldn't have fixed anything. All it would have done is just delay the inevitable. What's next? In order to get the pre-patched missiles back, you're hey, do 20 terabyte contracts? It just means that instead of having it yesterday, you can have it by next week. Timmy is already spending several millions of dollars on a nightclub and a terabyte to upgrade the Oppressor Mk II and give it missiles. Do you not think that Timmy would want to have the overpowered weapons by doing 20 missions on the terabyte? Of course it would! It's just like, that doesn't balance anything, that's just delaying the inevitable. I'm not trying to cook him, but I'm just wondering, like, what is your reasoning behind it? Don't bully me. I'm not trying to bully you. I am just genuinely trying to understand your point of view. That's all. That's just all I'm wondering. Because, like, your logic here is that it would have been more balanced when it was released if you had unlocked the other weapons. Basically, to put it in words that would make sense for everyone, your idea is the exact same idea as Rockstar raising the price of the Oppressor Mk II. It will just take a little bit longer to get the exact same power as you would before. Balance definitely is the word, is definitely the wrong word for it, but I don't think it would have made much of a difference. It's basically on the same ballpark as research. Just because something will take longer doesn't mean that explosive rounds are suddenly a lot less powerful, right? I would agree with, like, you know, do certain things to unlock certain stuff is a nice way to go about most things in the game, but I would not say it would make things more balanced. It would just take a little bit longer. And most of the time, people will probably find somehow, some way to do it a lot quicker. But that was it for this one. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and become a member like Chloe, GTA Plus, Left Lane Looney, OnlyFans Made Me Do It, Notorious Jam, and the Vinewood Car Club. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.